Good evening, Thailand. I'm Patrick Beach.
And I'm Jacqueline Maddie.
And this is JPA News. This is our top news story. Thailand and Cambodia plan to present their positions next week to the United Nations Security Council over recent fighting on their border. A ceasefire held Friday along the Cambodian-Thai border, though armies of both governments remain on alert. A week ago, fighting erupted near a 900-year-old Hindu temple on the border. Several died before the fighting halted on Tuesday, and thousands on both sides were forced to flee their homes. On Monday, Cambodia's Foreign Minister Hor Namong and Thailand's Kasipir Ramia appeared before the United Nations Security Council to set out their respective positions. Each country blames the other for starting the battle. In 1962, the International Court of Justice ruled the temple was in Cambodia, but a main access route is on the Thai side. The two sides have disputed the exact border in places around the temple, known as the Priya Vihar in Cambodia and the Pra Viharan in Thailand. Sunai Pasuk, a representative for Human Rights Watch in Thailand, says the UN will provide a forum for debate over the clashes and could help determine human rights violations. Both countries have accused the other of using banned cluster bombs in the fighting.
And now in other breaking news. Thailand seizes 1 ton of smuggled elephant tusks. Thai customs officials display seized elephant tusks in Bangkok, Thailand. February 25, 2011. Thai customs officials on Friday confiscated 1 ton of mainly elephant tusks, valued at $52 million or $169 million US. They were smuggled into an airport in Bangkok. The tusks were smuggled originally from Africa through Malaysia before arriving in Bangkok, Deputy Director General of Customs Department told reporters. The confiscation was a compliance with the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora and the local Thai law. And now another story brought to us. Thai identification team leaving for New Zealand. A team of 7 from the Royal Thai Police Office Forensic Science Bureau will leave for New Zealand on Saturday to help research and identify the 6 Thais who are still missing following the earthquake in Christchurch. The team experts includes in DNA testing, fingerprinting, dentistry, and forensic science, and is led by Bureau Chief Police Lieutenant General. A DNA expert and a team member. New Zealand police said the confirmed death toll from Tuesday's earthquake in Christchurch has risen to 113, while 228 people were still unaccounted for. And now in other news, food scarce, fears for laborers rise. Thai workers in Libya and their relatives have called on authorities to step up their efforts to bring them home, saying they have been badly affected by the violent political unrest. Relatives of Thai workers in Libya sit around a learning center in Tambon district to follow the news of family members stranded in the strife-torn country. More than 130 men from this Tambon, comprising of 15 villages, work in Libya. The construction workers, all of them from northeastern provinces such as Nakhon Ratchasima and Udon Thani, had been working on a housing estate project in the southern city, located about 1,300 kilometers from respective Tripoli, for more than 8 months. The Libyan employer had refused to pay their wages for 3 months and had abandoned the project while the Thai staff from a job broker firm went back to Thailand 2 weeks ago, he said. "We are all alone here. We want to go home, but don't know how," Mr. Sukar said, adding the group could contact neither Thai embassy officials nor the job placement company. Anxiety is growing among the relatives of Thais working in Libya, as they have been unable to contact their loved ones following the wave of political turmoil in the country. Relatives of the workers in Tambon district flocked to the community's learning center yesterday to obtain updates on the situation. More than 130 Thai laborers working in Libya come home from this Tambon. The first 45 Thai workers taking part in an evacuation operation are due back to arrive in Thailand today by plane, while Labor Ministry staff have arrived in Tunisia to help take care of about 1,000 Thai workers who have fled in the fighting.
And now for our history section, Thailand's role in World War II. Thailand responded pragmatically to the military and political pressures during World War II. when sporadic fighting broke out between Thai and French forces among Thailand's eastern frontier in late 1940 and early 1941, Japan used its influence with the Vichy regime in France to obtain concessions for Thailand. As a result, France agreed in March 1941 to cede 54,000 square kilometers of Laotian territory to west of the Mekong and most of the Cambodian province of Battambang to Thailand. The recovery of this lost territory and the regime's apparent victory over a colonial power greatly enhanced the regime's reputation. On December 8, 1941, after several hours of fighting between the Thai and Japanese troops in Chompong, Thailand had to accede to Japanese demands for access through the country for Japanese forces invading Burma and Malaya. Under pressure from Japan, the Philippine regime declared war on Britain and the United States in January 1942. But the Thai ambassador in Washington refused to deliver the declaration to the United States government. Accordingly, the United States refrained from declaring war on Thailand. The Free Thai movement was established, recruiting Thai students in the United States to work with the United States government. Accordingly, the United States refrained from declaring war on Thailand. The Free Thai movement was established, recruiting Thai students in the United States to work with the United States Office of Strategic Services. The OSS trained Thai personnel for underground activities, and units were ready to infiltrate Thailand. Japan had meanwhile stationed 150,000 troops on Thai soil and built the infamous Death Railway through Thailand using Allied prisoners of war. As the war dragged on, however, the Japanese presence grew more irksome. Trade came to a halt, and Japanese military personnel requisitioning supplies increasingly dealt with Thailand as a conquered territory rather than as an ally. Allied bombing raids damaged Bangkok and other targets and caused several thousand casualties. Public opinion, and even more important, the sympathies of the civilian political elite, moved perceptibly against the Phai-Bun regime and the military. In June 1944, the Phai-Bun was forced from office and replaced by the first predominantly civilian government since the 1932 coup.
The modern nation of Thailand is a multicultural society. Oh, hello! You just caught me reading about Thailand's culture. Did you know that the predominant Thai culture and identity and civilization emerged as a product of the interaction of the indigenous population with Thai and other immigrant peoples, including Chinese and Indian? When people consider themselves to be Thai, they mean that they are, in the political sense, subjects of the Thailand nation. If explored further, the word has a cultural and, for many, a linguistic sense. However, not all Thailand citizens speak Thai, and of those who do so, it is the second language for them. This Thai identity, in its present form, is relatively recent. And that's all for today. I'll see you next time.
And welcome to your weather segment on JPA News Thailand. And now for your 5-day forecast. Monday, February 28th should have partly cloudy skies with a high of 91 degrees and a low of 78. Tuesday, March 1st is also going to have partly cloudy skies with a high of 91 and a low of 78. Wednesday, March 2nd is going to have a high of 92 and a low of 78 with also partly cloudy skies, which will remain for Thursday and Friday just to cut the suspense. For Thursday, the high is also going to be 92 with a low of 78, and Friday, ending the week, the high will be 92 and the low will be 78, with, of course, partly cloudy skies. We're going to discuss with you a bit about monsoons. The southern region of Thailand really only has two seasons, the wet and the dry. These seasons do not run at the same time on both the east and west side of the peninsula. On the west coast, The southwest monsoon brings rain and often heavy storms from April through October, whilst on the east coast the most rainfall is between September and December. The other northern season is from May to November and is dominated by the southwest monsoon, during which time rainfall in the north is at its heaviest.
Thanks, Jackie. Don't we all root in sunny Thailand? And now for sports. The two-day international final qualifying stage for the Open Championship concluded yesterday at the picturesque Par 72 of Mata Spring Country Club in Thailand. The event closed out with the top 4 players on the leaderboard earning their place to play in the major tournament. Local Pram Misawat, who had been an Asian Tour winner, finally topped the leaderboard by carding a superb round, a 7-under par 65. Pram had 8 birdies in the second round and a single bogey, which came on the par 3 8th hole. This will be his first appearance in the Open Championship, which will start July 14th at the Royal St. George Golf Club.
Well, that's all for tonight, Thailand. From all of us at JPA, thanks for joining us.
You stay classy, Thailand.
Did everybody say